Hello, everyone. Happy 4th of July Eve, I guess. Sure. Gophers head coach PJ Fleck has come into the Minnesota program, really revitalized it, re-energized it, and has the boat rowing in the right direction for the first time since, I don't know, part of Jerry Kill, part of Glenn Mason. Sure. Even though you had a future top 3 NFL draft pick right in your backyard in Marshall, Minnesota, in Trey Lance, and you didn't even offer him, that one still sticks in my craw a little bit. But the thing about college coaches is that they're always projecting towards the next job. That's sort of the greasy, grimy aspect about college sports. Like, players need to honor their scholarships. Otherwise, sit out a year transferring. Meanwhile, a coach can be like, all right, we want a bowl game. Deuces. Yeah, I'm going somewhere else. I'm upgrading. So every school, except for like basically Alabama, is just a stepping stone job to another job. Like Jimbo Fisher left Florida State to go to Texas A&M. How's that an upgrade? Besides getting paid $11 billion. I mean, Willie Taggart left Oregon after a year to go to Florida State, and then that didn't work out either. So I don't get it. I don't really understand it. But also, the end boss for every college head coach is, well, what about the NFL? What about this? What about that? I mean, we saw it happen with Saban. And you see it with every single college coach. You see it with Brian Kelly. You see it with Dabo, even though Dabo would self-destruct in the NFL like in terrible, terrible ways. But PJ Fleck, ever since he got here, the local talk has always been, A, when's he leaving? How many years is he going to be here? When's he going to leave for Notre Dame or Florida State or some SEC school, even like a Vanderbilt, right? But my question is, what about the NFL? Like, would PJ's shtick work in the National Football League? Now, I don't say shtick dismissively, but I'm talking about like his overall persona. Like, he is very high energy. He's positive, bouncing ball of energy. Anytime you hear him speak, you're ready to run through a wall. Like, he does have a certain charisma and magnetism about him, and it's great. It's phenomenal. He's actually, if football didn't exist and he became like a motivational speaker guru like Tony Robbins, or one of the guys you buy a class from that hotel by the airport, sure, you could see that. Also, he's quite the departure from the grouchy, angry, stereotypical head coach that we all know and love, right? I mean, look at Zimmer, right? But the prevailing thought was, all right, so all this rah-rah, sis-boom, bah stuff works on 18, 19, 20-year-old kids on a meal plan and mopeds. But, I mean, would this work with multi-million-dollar athletes, many of whom are making more than you? I don't know. But then Pete Carroll happened. Pete Carroll had a run in the NFL with the Jets and with the Patriots, and then he was the 17th choice of USC. And then he got that thing going by bringing in Snoop Dogg and Will Ferrell on the sidelines. Woo! Also, Reggie Bush, but yeah. And then he got out of town ahead of the sanctions, took the Seattle job, and then won a Super Bowl. Probably should have won 2 if he handed things off. Well, yeah. Then Sean McVay with the Rams, where Sean McVay didn't coach in college, but his demeanor is very much like a college coach. It was like, motivation. Also, he kind of looks like PJ Fleck too. Yeah. And then Matt Rule, did great things at Temple and then Baylor, then got the Panthers job. I mean, owner David Tepper of the Panthers obviously sees a little bit something there. So I think the league is starting to open up to that style of coach that cuts a grain against tradition, against the old stoic, grouchy, cursing all over the place type coach. I think it's changing. And frankly, if PJ keeps improving the Gophers, I mean, hell, maybe it takes them to a Rose Bowl. Could you imagine? It'd be the first Rose Bowl for the Gophers since like 1960. And the Gophers Minnesota has been a notoriously hard place to win in recent decades. If he does that, it would be irresponsible of NFL owners with an opening to at least inquire. I mean, they should at least do that. Now, PJ, he's not known as like a Rain Man X's and O's guru. Like he's not a Sean McVay. He's not a Zimmer. He's not anyone like that. But also, playing to the fact that he's never been an offensive coordinator at any level, right? So he went from a college wide receiver coach to a wide receiver coach of the Buccaneers in 2012, and then straight to being the head coach of Western Michigan. So he hasn't necessarily been a play caller at any stop, right? But what he is great at is he's great at recruiting and management of egos, which is 9/10 of college football. And also, like we said, X's and O's really is a dime a dozen. Like, there are only so many Bill Walsh's, Bill Belichick's in this world. But, finding a guy who can install a competent offense or a competent defense, you can find those guys. You can pay them to come be your assistants. And also, once they leave to get their own head coaching job, you can pay and find replacements, right? So you can always hire great coordinators. But finding that true leader of men, finding that true CEO of a football team, it's tough to do. It really is tough. And as we've said on here, like, an NFL head coach really is more of a manager, and frankly should be called a manager, like a baseball manager. And manage personalities, manage the game, and that's really about it. You can outsource your play calling. You can do that. And obviously, PJ Fleck, who's brought in by owner, who crushed the interview, he would absolutely slay it. He would be a great salesman. Like, if PJ Fleck was at Dunder Mifflin, he probably would outsell Dwight, much to his chagrin. I mean, Dwight outsold a robot. But, I mean, also he's a salesman who actually believes in his product. Because you ever seen a great salesman trying to hawk a product they don't believe in? Like a stereo equipment salesman or a vacuum salesman from back in the day. That used to be a thing. But PJ actually believes and buys into it, which has a genuineness that it's hard to come by. And PJ Fleck, I believe, does that. So would his shtick work as an NFL head coach? I think it could. Especially if you have a forward-thinking owner, especially if you have a youngish team, especially if you have a quarterback who buys into it, and then if he hires great coordinators around him, which he's done at Western Michigan as well as Minnesota, he's got a chance. He does. Where if I had to bet, I would wager that PJ Fleck eventually will have a crack at being an NFL head coach. I mean, hell, he was the last coach to make Corey Davis worth a damn. So, I mean, he could just put that on the resume too. So I think he's going to get a shot. Will it work out long term? That's still TBD, but kind of row the boat in the NFL. Oh, what if Arians retires and then PJ gets the Bucs job? Because he was an assistant there for 1 year. Rowing the pirate boat. Bring it. All right, your thoughts. PJ Fleck, NFL? Question mark? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. If you want to support the work, pull us on the Venmo. Please give us a follow on social media as well. But until next time, Skull. Production value.